Welcome back, everyone, to NYU Grad's Daily Podcast. It is Tuesday, January 30th, after market hours. I just listened to the Google earnings call. The Microsoft one I have not yet. I need to run out to dinner real quick, so I couldn't really wait to hear both before this podcast. But lots to cover. Let's jump right in, and I'll cover some of those reports. So pretty bullish day before the close. We had on the breath readings 876 new highs and only 129 new lows. So that's like 7x outpacing on new highs. So that's great. Keep in context, there's some big earnings this week and there's the Fed rate decision. But we also had 37% of shares advancing and 57% of shares declining. And I'll walk through some of those declining shares. So it was a sneaky rally on the Dow. The NASDAQ closed down 118 points. And I'll cover all of this. So for the 50-day moving average, we have 31% of shares underneath the 50 and 34% of shares underneath the 200. That's an expansion of yesterday. So when the markets open, basically for the Dow anyway, 1030 was the low of the day, and we rallied hard. A lot of the Dow 30, especially like the JP Morgans and a lot of the defensive names, the whole Dow 30 is defensive outside of Microsoft and Apple. They're like triple dipping because Apple and Microsoft is in like everything. The Dow was up. In my eyes, it was rotation into less risky assets. The NASDAQ closed below the previous close of Monday, and we just bled off all day. And the S&P was kind of hectic, up and down, basically in a tight range between 49.20 and 49.30, literally 10 to 12 point range all day. So that was the complexion of the day. When you take a look at the Mag 7 and some of the bigger mega cap, you had the biggest losers were Apple down almost 2%, down 1.93%, Amazon down 1.4%, Google down 1.1%. This is all before the earnings. Microsoft down 0.28% before earnings. And then taking a look at some of the other names, JP Morgan was up 2%. Verizon was up, Visa was up 1.27%. MasterCard up 1%. Wells Fargo up 1.6%. And Bank of America up 3.5%. I got to investigate why. And then you had healthcare was a mixed bag. Just looking at sectors, financial and energies were the largest winners of the day, and real estate, communication services, tech, and consumer cyclical were red today. So that was the overview of the session, okay? Coming out of the Google earnings call, the CEO, Sundar, and team said AI over 150 times. Now, let me back up. So I have, I would say, an undergraduate degree from Stern, NYU, looking at balance sheets, looking at all of the textbook things of the stock market. Okay, I graduated in 99. And as a force of habit to geek out, to kind of like a poker table, read the room, I listen to a lot of earnings calls just to geek out, okay? Not for trading purposes, because none of it really matters. Like earnings, it will move it for, a week or two, and earnings is especially important, like if there's a gap and go situation where, like, let's say AI, the new goggle product from Apple, let's say they sold out and there's a 4-year wait list for those Google glasses or the Apple glasses. It could gap up it'll gap and go, right? So that's important. But otherwise, for the most part, the information is already in the price. So I listened to the earnings call. There's a heavy focus on social media, AI, heavy focus on YouTube. And they said AI 150 times. So I listened to a lot of these calls. You have to say AI at least 100 times to 120 times to have an impact. And they did it. I will post a quick, like a minute long of their team just saying AI, 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 AI. It was really ridiculous. And they're down pretty heavy aftermarket. Alphabet is down 5.5% after hours. They can ramp this tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. And Microsoft beat, and they're pretty much unchanged. Microsoft closed at 408. It's at 407.33 after hours, so really hasn't moved too much. If I had to bet on a horse for the long term between Google and Microsoft, I would bet on Microsoft. And for me, it's about leadership. I've never met Sundar, and I know a ton of people that work at Google. And I'm being completely honest with you, okay? This is going to sound very prejudiced. I think in the heyday of Google, when they had daycare, dry cleaning, massages, and all of those benefits, 3 meals a day, I think they got lazy as an organization. It's, it may have seen its better days. I've met the CEO of Microsoft when I was at Adobe. I think the leaders in these large enterprises matter quite a bit because you're leading such a large team of global team members, right? But yeah, I mean, I would say if I had to bet on these two, I would bet on Satya Nadella. Just as a tidbit, I don't know if you know this, but Satya went to grade school with Shantanu, who's the CEO of Adobe, who was my CEO there. And they run really great global organizations at scale. Do I think Microsoft is going to just keep going up? No. It might, but I don't think Microsoft's going out of business. And that's what I'm saying is like these earnings calls are semi-important. I listen to them for entertainment, but it's all in the price already. It will be all in the price by tomorrow morning. There continues to be layoffs across the tech sector, across Google, Microsoft, etc. There's hiring freezes. So we'll see what happens. And I want to give you context. If on Wednesday, Jerome Powell says, you know what? We've reached our inflation target. We are for sure going to cut 6 times in 2024, including today, January 31st. We're going to cut rates 6 times. I guarantee it. It will not matter. Like, meaning that would be great. Like Microsoft, Google, AMD, who's down aftermarket on Tuesday, they will all reverse and they will all rally tomorrow. It's very binary because there's so much debt in the system. What the Federal Reserve dictates and the Treasury with Yellen dictates moves the market more than any earnings call, any earnings report, any news on Bloomberg, CNBC, whatever. It's very light switch binary right now. So Microsoft and Google could be down 10% tonight. It wouldn't matter if the Fed was dovish on Wednesday. They would all just make it back and rally. So this is all fodder. This is all appetizer. What happens on Wednesday is going to set the tone for January and this quarter. And on Thursday, you have the likes of Apple and Amazon reporting after the close. We will see what happens, but it was a mixed session, but I think it was a sneaky bearish day, despite the Dow being up. Volume at noon was super light. At the end of the day, we closed off the SPY at 55 million shares traded on average volume of 77 million. The 10-year yield is still above 4%. My line in the sand is 4.5%. If the 10-year yield goes above 4.5%, it's over. What else was strong? General Motors was up 7.8%. I don't know why. I don't care, but that stuck out. What was weak? I'm going to just rapid fire, okay? Wayfair, the home furnishings, down 5.7. Roblox down 4.95. DoorDash down 4.5. Bitcoin miner down 3.75. PaySafe, I brought this up. They were breaking out of a range recently. They're down 3.3. Lyft down 2.98. Rivian down 2.85. Sprout Social down 2.7. Arc Innovation down 2.6. Zoom down 2.5. Extreme Networks down 2.5. Roku down 2.52. Affirm down 2.3. Netflix down 2.25. Marathon Digital down 2.2. Airbnb down 2.13. Intel down 2.1. Yext down 2.08. AI down 2.03. I can keep going, but I'm not. So that's really it. It's all about the Fed rate decision on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. All of our fates, all of our positions, long and short, depend on this 2 p.m. conference call. And when Jerome Powell steps up to the podium to talk about dot plots and inflation and data dependency, I hate it. I hate having to even listen to this dude talk. I live literally blocks away from the New York Fed building. I want to just go back to trading prices and earnings and future cash flows and dividends. Like, I'm so tired of anticipating the Fed rate decision. But here we are. Keep watching that. Keep watching the Mag 7 or the Sexy 5 or whatever they call it these days. Watch yields. My line in the sand is 4.5% in the 10-year. And I will see you all on the Wednesday evening after the Wednesday session. All right, later.